Yo, yo, yo. We're back in the building with another episode here at the Asset Class. How are you doing, my guy, Jesse?
What's happening, my brother? What's happening? What's happening, man? And another day in the grind, back out here on the road. So I can't complain. Just pushing. How about you?
I love to hear it, man. It's been all gas. We're really, really excited for the ribbon opening, and then I'll be out in Atlanta with you, where we're going to be with some of the wealthiest people in the world. So, but I'm going to go ahead and hit this disclaimer, and then we're going to hit the intro, and we're going to hop right into it. So, guys, this is the Asset Class. I'm the managing partner of Tax Erasers. One of the fastest ways to double your wealth is to cut your tax liability in half. That's my guy, Jesse. He is the founder, the visionary, one of the best business coaches in the world at Bullseye Consulting. The RN is for real. Don't play with him. And we always give you guys actionable information, but I want you guys to process that in the right manner. Look, you need to take this as informational, entertainment-wise, and educational, because we're not your professionals. We highly advise that you work with licensed professionals with a track record of success, bonded in nature if need be. We always, always, always encourage our classmates to do their own research, because as you learn more, each one, reach one, teach one. That's how we learn and grow as a community. You're looking fly over there, my brother. Excited about working on a new project?
Bruh, it is always, it's like, it's a recharge to the spirit, to my soul, each beginning, because we go through these in-depth conversations about the current state of their business and how they got there and where they want to go, and recognizing that, because that doesn't happen overnight, that business owners recognize, you know what, I don't have it all figured out. I got to go and find somebody to help me do this, because I don't know what I don't know. That's not like a common thing. You know what I mean? Like, as business owners, we got ego, we got, perception, we got, and I'm speaking as an entrepreneur as well. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, we got audacity. We have audacity. It's always on sale if you're an entrepreneur, because you're doing the uncommon.
And one of the biggest disservices to that is to just, when you have dug a hole for yourself, rule number one, stop fucking digging. And it's like not even recognizing that you digging a hole and the dirt is just, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's flying behind you, but you don't recognize you just digging this hole perpetually. And it's cyclical. It's years and years and years and years and years and years. So again, for the opening of these projects, where we're talking about that whole journey of going through the stubbornness, I'm gonna figure it out, I got it, like, hell no. Like, I'm not getting no help, fuck that. Michael Jordan had coaches that he relied on heavily. You know what I'm saying? Steph Curry has coaches that he relies on heavily. LeBron James has coaches that, but fuck that, I don't need nobody. Like, nah. You know what I'm saying? The fact that, Tiger Woods and all of the other greatest, Serena Williams, all of the greatest athletes in the world, all have not only a coach, they got a team of coaches. They got coaches for different shit.
They're mentored.
They're
mentored, my brother. Like, you were spitting fire, because I recently spoke at a high school with at-risk kids, where it's like a second chance type of high school. Half of them work, and then they go to class around their job to make sure they get their GED, to make sure their emotional maturity is what it needs to be, their healing, all that kind of stuff. And it was funny, they introduced me as a financial guy. So some people came, some people didn't. And I was like, look, you guys think I'm here to talk about finances. I'm here to talk about life. And I told them a little bit about my story. And the thing that really resonated the most with the kids and what got them to listen to me, I was like, your ego is not your amigo. I was like, the biggest thing holding you guys back is the fact that you think you have to do it on your own. I remember when I was broke, when I didn't have two nickels to rub together, I would always say, can't nobody hand me nothing. I did it myself. I got it off the strength. I got it out the dirt. Can't nobody ever say they helped me. And then I look at Warren Buffett, and he's been mentored into a millionaire, and then he was mentored into a billionaire and then a multi-billionaire. So Warren Buffett got mentors and I got audacity. It's like, what's bigger, your ego or your paycheck? Clearly, my ego was bigger at that point in time, and it's getting smaller every day.
No, it's real. So it's like to go through the process of talking to somebody that has gone through all of that process that you and I both have just described, to finally recognizing, okay, it's time. You know what I'm saying? Like we ain't getting no young. You know what I'm saying? Like let's go ahead and just, so to then have a conversation in which in the course of 3-4 hours, they are already looking at their business completely different than they ever have. And I'm able to like see that happen in real time. And as the process evolves, it engulfs more of the team. So they're getting the same kind of, like, I've been working here for years and it's never been like this, where like we're communicating clearly with each other. Everybody got their own clear swim lanes. There's accountability. There's structure and discipline.
So nobody wants to talk about organizational leadership. Everybody wants to talk about hustle. People want to talk about fancy stuff. They want to talk about AI. They want to talk about sizzle reels. They want to talk about co-branding and M&A. And all of that stuff is cool. You know, I love M&A. But what they need to be talking about is how you can get every single person on this ship to be churning the rudder the right way, to be moving the paddle in the same direction. I think it's amazing how you help these businesses chart a course, because if we're talking about a big ship, you cannot just change. You just can't flip it around like it's a jet ski. You can chart a new course, but it's going to take time to get onto that line and to start traveling in that manner. So I think it's so dope what you do for these businesses, what you do for these communities, for the economy, but also, you know, in a big part, like what you do for the employees. Because they never talk about the lifetime value of an employee. They don't even know what that is or why they should need to know about it.
Absolutely. And it's crazy because, and I got to follow up with my last client because their new hire should be a week into working now, which means, because we put together an entire framework for onboarding where it's intentional on, because have you and I spoken about the Hawthorne effect?
Bring it back. Bring it back for them.
Yeah. So the Hawthorne effect, you cannot discount the value of it. And what it basically is now contextually, I've been professionally consulting since 2018. And I use the designation of professionally consulting because the barrier to entry for anyone to call themselves a consultant is in hell. Is no. So like I've actually been, for my professional time, compensated for my advisement since 2018. And that experience has taught me that when I walk into the building, or people like me, consultants, the consultant team walks in. Before we ever had a single conversation with anybody, before we ever looked at a financial report, before we ever looked at a binder that allegedly houses an SOP or any of the other organizational documents, for some odd reason, productivity generally starts to increase just by virtue of us walking in the door. That is the Hawthorne effect. The idea that when people know that they're being watched, they tend to shape up and perform. And creating the Hawthorne effect it requires an intentionality behind it. So for example, when you onboard somebody and you set like real clear standards, and then you come and you follow back up on them standards, but it conditions into the team is, oh, they really care, that like they paying attention, they watching what I'm like, let me make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. The reverse of that is you set an expectation, never follow up on it. The employee doesn't do it, or they start doing it and they see nobody is never paying attention to it anyway. So, or seemingly no one's paying attention to it anyway. So they start doing it less and less. And when you instill that Hawthorne effect into them up front to let them know that they're going to be held accountable, and that doesn't come from just, setting the expectation, the fire and forget mentality, where I'm just sending it out there and now, the results are just going to come back. That's not how that works. It's the continuous, because this is human enterprise. We manage in human enterprise here. People need structure, but they need communication. They need clear communication. They need accountability, structure.
Yeah, you're giving them a lot of significance. If we think of like hierarchy of needs, this is where you start to get people to actualize, where you're saying, look, you are valued. You are a part of this team. It doesn't go without you. That's why we're making this small change. And seeing how deadly serious I am following up with my clients and my employees based on the plan that you gave me shows them that we're not playing around. And it gives them the opportunity to join arms and be part of something bigger than themselves. And in this day and age, I think that's everything. People are, they're desperately seeking significance, impact, and some connection to something. Because more and more, whether people like it or don't like it, people have walked away from the church or churches, whatever faith you want to talk about. It's amazing when I come across folks that are just like, look, this job right here, this is my everything. This is my everything. And they mean it with their heart and soul. Now, I can understand the counterpoint of someone's going to hop on here and be like, capitalist greed, you're stealing them, you're brainwashing them. But look, when you treat people well, you pay them well, and you allow them to actualize within your system, and you allow their dreams to come true, and you put them in a position where their retirement is awesome, where their impact in the community is awesome, where they have the opportunity to teach their kids things that they didn't know and give them things that they didn't have, and that's all linked back to the business. Why wouldn't they be excited about that?
Right. So, no, it's always, and the true beauty is that, and I was talking about this in my story on Instagram, that it really is, it's art in a real beautiful form, because I'm able to go through the opening like this. Literally, this just happened today. So go through the opening, do a site tour where, we walk the perimeter of the business and just talking about all of the missed opportunities, to sitting down and mapping out an organizational game plan that is going to start changing the business this week. Like foundation, like they've been in business for years now. And this week, foundationally, fundamentally, the business is changing. New roles and responsibilities, new communicational patterns. One of the communicational patterns that I'll add to that is the value of a 15-minute startup meeting to a small, to any operation that intends to scale at any kind of pace. Because in business, until those processes are really dialed in and everybody's really trained on what it is that they're responsible for and they all understand the assignment, the daily flow of operations can, it's going to be very dynamic. In other words, in a 5-day period, it isn't very often that there are multiple days in that 5 days that are carbon copies of each other. Each day is its own unique set of challenges and opportunities. So as that's happening, there's so much value that just gets missed because we just moving from one thing to the next. Like, we got to keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm getting this out, I'm getting that out, I'm getting this out, I'm getting that out, I'm doing this, doing all of the things. But in the process, not recognizing that, because we're doing that multitasking thing. So you sending out 70% pure there, 60% pure there, 50% pure there, 90% pure there, because, you stayed up late and, you burned the midnight oil to really make sure that you didn't miss that deadline. You gave, 20% over there. So it's all this mediocre product, like results, these mediocre results that are being produced perpetually. And we're running into this cycle and not catching that it's happening, not catching why it's happening, to then put process in place to prevent it from continuing to happen. So that 15-minute huddle meeting gives the ability to communicate, all right, we're reiterating the priorities for the week. We're assigning the specific tasks for the day. We're speaking to how yesterday closed out in comparison to the game plan for the week at large, and how yesterday is impacting today, and any other, quick operational things that tie to the products or services being produced and delivered to customers.
I love it, bro.
A 15-minute meeting. And I want to say this last piece before I hand it back to you. That 15 minutes is like critical, because when we start talking about meeting effectiveness, when you actually sit down and look at all of the people that are in a meeting and you add up the value, how much an hour of each of their time is. One of the things that keeps me moving when I'm out here with the clients is I know that they being billed $360 an hour. So I'm gonna make sure that I'm delivering $360, like above that. Like, I'm on that. So when you're looking at the meeting effectiveness, you got all these hourly, how much everybody is getting paid to be in that meeting. That's what the company is paying. So you can't have all these people just sitting in the meeting not being productive. What are we doing? So in order to make sure that the huddle meeting does not lose its intent of a quick huddle catch up, 15-minute, let's make sure that we all on the same page. It will not exceed 15 minutes. We will not allow that. That don't happen. Because there's always a reason that we could justify saying, oh, we're just going to do 20 minutes this meeting because this thing is that important. It's not. It's important enough for you to schedule an intentional follow-up to address that specifically, or any other things that need to be addressed relative to that thing. But in order for the huddle meeting to meet its intent, it does not go over 15 minutes because there's a cost to that. There's a delay to productivity beginning. And it conditions a lack of discipline within the team. When they know we in and out like a robbery with them huddle meetings, and now it's time to get to it, it's a culture. It's an integrity that gets instilled into the team, the fabric of the business. I'm sorry, you were getting ready to say something, my brother.
Nah, you're giving game, John DeMarcos. Folks don't understand what you're teaching them at an institutional level of what they could build if they apply what you're saying. What I was saying, I really love the way that you're breaking this down, because a lot of this episode is highly psychological, and folks try to act like business isn't. It is. It's your mind and it's your emotions. And it's what motion we can get on the other side of those two things. And most of the time, the human mind is working like a search bar. If I say, don't think about bananas, don't think about things made with bananas, you're like, man, banana pudding, banana pie, banana bread, banana chips, banana Fanta. So in the same way, I think about the sales teams that I've ran and the elite sales teams that I've been a part of. And we normally had something in common when we're talking about top producers in the country. Showing up a little bit early, taking great pride, and making sure that we had a ritual or a routine so we could be in the right mindset and the right energy to seek out opportunities. I know that when I approach the day saying, look, I cannot wait to be a vessel for the Most High to connect with other people and help them in some way. I know there's going to be some incredible hidden gems today, and I will be looking for them, and then I will be celebrating every little victory along the way. That day pretty much goes like that. Whether I got a bunch of crazy people or I got a bunch of lay down sales, it's there. And I have that sort of intent going into every interaction with a potential client, going into every interaction when I'm doing a coaching for one of my brokers, and making sure that I am connecting with them and I'm looking to use them for the utmost good with their abilities and their unique personality. I could only imagine what it would look like if my search bar was something different. And I wasn't intentionally leading with that, with a prosperity mindset, and I'm just coming in and letting the day do whatever. So without those sorts of meetings, especially as you scale an organization, it's too much variability, just from my point of view of being a producer and selling whatever product and or service that we sell. We got to get everyone on the same mission, on the same path, with a very similar search bar, so we could be closer to that 80% of productive time while we're there. Because one of the things that really blew me away, it was a few years ago. There's so much wisdom in the simple things, like when E.T. the hip hop preacher breaks something down, you're like, dang, that was simple, but it was also profound. It's just it's looking at people and our production or even our companies, and it's just saying, are you at your best? every single day. Not are you trying your best. Are you the best? Are you a 10 out of 10 every single day? And certain people in the room were like, yeah, I am. And I was just real. It's like, no, I'm not. Do I put the effort forward to be my best every day? Yes. Am I a 10 every day? No. And I was surprised, this speaker was like, boom. All right, we got an honest guy in the front, pastor's kid. And I was like, something like that. And he goes to say, you're right. Are you good at what you do? And I was like, I'm incredible at what I do. I'm one of the best in the country. He goes, okay, that's phenomenal. Then why aren't you a 10 every day? And it's like, because it's not possible to be perfect. Now I can create systems that will help me where when I have emotional irregularity or energy or whatever, the market is shifted, I have systems and scripts and follow-up and things that will help me buffer out some of those bad variables and put things more in my favor. But I'm just not on fire every day. Otherwise, I'm never on fire. And he was like, boom, that's it. If you're actually worth a damn, it's impossible for you to be a 10 every day. Someday you're going to come in and you're going to have the emotional capacity of a 2. But what rituals and what systems do we have to support you when you come in as a 2? So you perform more like a 5, a 6, or even a 7. And then what do we have on the other side? When you come in as a 10, how can we give you more real estate for opportunity? Change my whole paradigm. And he hit me with that.
Right. We have so much control over our outcomes as individuals. The problem is we end up trying to control or be worried about too much shit that's completely outside of our own grasp. When we decide to invest that energy into, controlling the aspects of our own lives, like our own shit, like basically mind your own fucking business. All up in everybody video, dancing. Worry about yourself, man.
Worry about yourself. Winners focus on winning. Losers focus on winners. My brother, this has been powerful. I kind of want to shift focus a little bit so we can get back into our roots of the asset class. We're always bringing the fuego and the fire for our classmates here. But teaching different assets each class was the core element of starting this here program here with you so we could educate the masses on. And at this point in time, I think we really got to go back and we got to talk about the basics of what we do. So you've been going through framework because as you guys see, he's a world-class consultant that's a business coach. He's not, I don't want to name any names, but I had a couple meetings this week with other folks that were business coaches. I was like, so what's your ethos? What do you do for businesses? Well, I help remove the barriers that keep them from being successful. That's great. What does that look like? Well, it's all in their mind. So I make sure that their mind, and I was like, that's great. But once you've changed their mind and they hit a dead end in their business, what do? No, you don't understand. I'm changing their mind. It's like, okay, Professor Xavier. We're talking about Jesse bringing actionable information, making sure that your books are A1 so that the data that you're receiving is both accurate and timely so you can make the best decisions for yourself because we believe that informed people make great decisions for themselves. So, with that and where I'm going with this, with the current state of the economy, so we saw a huge jump back in crude oil.
So does this feel like just the beginning or just a spike?
Well, it's kind of eerie, man. When I look at things, most of this is being controlled by China, and China's been aiding us. And maybe not directly and not for noble purposes, but China has been keeping the economy afloat.
But that's out of self-interest because their economy centers around consumerism. Like they produce, they manufacture everything. Well, if people ain't buying what they making, their economy tanks as well, which they already had a housing crash, you know what I'm saying? Like that just happened. So like they did that out of self-interest. If they could allow America to drown and they not drown as well, they wouldn't. It's mutually shared destruction. when America goes down, it impacts the entire world in a different kind of way. Now, the rest of the world is starting to move away from America and build new relationships and partnerships and trade and defense and all of the things. So the more that happens, it gets to a point where if something happens to America, like China ain't gonna give a damn, and they're gonna put the nail in the coffin once the networks have been reworked and the world economy is different. But
right
as it stands right now, go ahead.
I feel like China's been galvanizing powerful partnerships in many different facets. So when we look at Mother Africa, the number one nation to fund as a partner, okay, not as a debt relationship, not what Europe, Western Europe to be more specific, has been doing in Africa for several hundred years. We're talking about coming in, giving you capital, and allowing you to scale your company in a manner that makes sense where you can help your community. China's been number one in that area. And it's because they came in, they did this crazy thing. They came in to these nations, asked what they needed, what they envisioned for the future, and then asked what they needed help with. And then China just did that and gave them the capital in that manner. Instead of
with some crazy terms, though.
Most definitely. And so when I looked at, some of the money going into like Rwanda, Nigeria, a few different places, Senegal, some of the loans are favorable. It's a sweetheart deal. But a lot of this, we're talking about monetary policy. We're talking about foreign domestic policy. We've talked about it many times here on this program. Folks don't understand the number one reason for foreign aid is so that you can control that economy. You're saying, hey, I'm going to help you out with this stuff, but you got to pay me back equivalent to your GDP. Oh, you don't have that much money? Dang. Guess we'll take some of these resources and these ports and these bays. And then, by the way, you have to pay your debt back in our currency because we don't accept yours because your country's jacked up. We might have done it. We might have flipped over the dominoes that began the chaos and calamity that you have in your country. However, this is your only life right now. And China is no different in that manner. Bro, I could tell you're chomping at the bit because we could tear this up. I was astounded to find out that China, and I'm going to hand this right back to you, that they had well over, this is only a known number, well over 1 billion barrels in reserve. So China can operate probably for 14 or 16 months without importing any oil from the rest of the world if they wanted to. If they just wanted to jack things up and they wanted to crash the oil market, they could do it. What they did strategically was lower how much oil they needed to import by almost 20 million barrels a day. Just by changing and tweaking different things that made sense. One thing, and it's been brought up multiple times when you look at economic channels, when you look at Earn Your Leisure, is usually Rashad said, "Hey, say what you want about China, but there's something to be said about having one leader that just makes the decision and saying, hey, this is what we're doing. You either get down or you lie down. Bang, bang." And that's how China does their moves. When they make their moves, they do it. So they can do it in complete secrecy, where there's not bureaucratic red tape, or in America, there's not plutocratic red tape. You know, I would love your take on this.
Right. China has been masterfully executing their war because no shots fired, but they are running the field. I mean, they are running the field because they play 8-dimensional chess. When the tariffs were initially imposed around the world and China got theirs, they said, oh, okay, I got you. So what about those rare earth minerals? What about them? They ain't say nothing. They ain't get on the mic talking crazy. They could have just spit facts. They didn't even do that. They ain't even say nothing. They was like, all right, America is they're on a tear again. Okay, cool. They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. And then once they did figure it out, like, oh shit, like this is actually critical. Now we start talking about Greenland and all this other shit, right? China plays 8-dimensional chess, bruh. So recognizing when they paced the amount of, because that wasn't just a random amount of impact that they chose to have on the world economy. It was because all of it is a numbers game. It's all a numbers game. It's just a numbers game played at the highest of levels with the most ridiculous of stakes associated with them. So, like, they have already calculated how much of their reserve that they need to burn through and how much that they need to be purchasing from Iran. Like,
and Russia?
Russia is actually, they've been getting attacked by Ukraine like real crazy. Like the drones are a whole different thing. You know, like I'm going to get back to Ukraine and Russia in just a second, but they were mentioning the idea of Iran potentially having drones in Cuba because like America has been threatening Cuba too and doing all kinds of crazy shit, the blockades and all of the things. So it makes those types of countries unify. Well, if they got drones in Cuba, that ain't far from, well, going back to Ukraine and Russia, they've been, the Ukrainians, they've been lighting Russia's ass up with drones, but they've been real strategic. So like hitting their refineries and the stuff that's difficult to reconstruct. They've been, as far as for them to be able to produce their oil. So this has been one of the first times in a while that Russia is actually importing oil because their infrastructure has been like destroyed to that extent. So like they not China. I doubt that China is getting oil from Russia right now. But
right now, I totally agree with you. 2, 3, 5 years ago.
Oh yeah,
secretly building up this reserve.
2, 3, 5 months ago. like this is all it's like it's all happening in real time. You know what I'm saying? So
And
Yeah.
it's such a big reminder that we are all connected. I think we've talked about it so many times on this episode, on this channel, that we do not live on an island. Everything is connected. So, like with China, in this situation, we're talking about oil. We're talking about Ukraine strikes happening on Russia. It's like, all right, so China pulls the plug on the oil. Its 43 best clients all go down. If China just decided, hey, I'm going to import way more oil than I need, I'm going to run it up, then China crashes. So they're kind of forced to save us, and they have. But they're also, like you said, they're playing 8-dimensional chess. So have you had your eye on what they're doing with gold and what may or may not be happening?
With all of these assets, what goes up? It's just the law of gravity. You know what I'm saying? So I don't, as it was going up, and silver, bro, at some point, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are going to do the things that people do, and it's going to have its. So I've always anticipated. I'm not keen to specifically what China did with gold, but I've just figured it's only a matter of time.
Well, here's the interesting thing. I have a client onboarding right now. This is going to be one of the largest clients I've ever onboarded. This gentleman is looking at, over the next 2.5 years, probably about $360 million. So that's what he's looking to take in. And that's without really having to touch anything or do anything. He has all these deals set up in distribution. And it's a whole conversation. And we'll definitely talk off air. One of the interesting things about his deals and his logistics is sending over thousands and thousands of tons of gold to China, raw gold, moving bullion also to China and to some of these royal families where they're loading up. And then China, if I don't know if you've noticed this, China has officially pulled out of the paper gold game. So what that means is when you have a Fidelity account or any sort of trading account or brokerage account, a lot of times you can buy gold and silver on there. Is it real gold and silver? Absolutely not. It's a piece of paper. And with that, it's artificially sat at a price. There are a good portion of economists that say that it's artificially been suppressed by a factor of 10, so that the price of gold should be 10 times higher than it is right now, if you compare it to inflation. So I know there are folks that throw out like very simple sorts of commodities. They're like, oh, you could buy 10 gallons of gas with one gold coin. You could do that now. But when we look at the buying a home with gold, and you look at the price difference, it's one of the weird places where you're like, dang, this is actually upside down. Gold should definitely be valued higher. So China has completely ceased it. They will not do it anymore. If you have paper contracts that you can convert into tangible gold, that's what you have to do right now. It's mandated. And with that, there are a good portion of people that are speculating that China wants to control the price of actual gold. And beyond the use for jewelry and adornment, gold is a very, very important mineral when it comes to electronics. And it's almost like we're in an AI race with every country in the world. And gold is a key factor in that. 8-dimensional chess.
Nobody does it better, man. Like, gotta give them their props. Nobody does it better. And it's interesting to just kind of watch how everything is playing out, because it goes back to just basic humanity, how things work out. Like, what generally happens to the bully?
Shoot. They're not living happily ever after, man.
You know what I'm saying? At some point, the bully meets their maker.
What's that
Well,
saying? Bullies aren't bulletproof. Yeah. So
so
it's
so the United States has been bullies financially to the world forever with the sanctions and all of the behind the scenes money tricks and sabotagery and coups and all of the like America as a country has done some foul shit around the world, and I get that it's done under the cloak of American interests. I just look at it as like it's like manifestation. It's the world is cyclical. The universe is cyclical. Like the energy you put out is, that shit comes back around. It's just how that goes. So we have, bruh. Yeah,
I agree with you. It's
I'm
like we're
with
getting
you.
we're getting exposed for not building alliances as we should have over the last 12 years. We weren't playing chess. We were playing checkers. And we
Bullying
were the
people. We've been bullying people, bruh. Like straight up. Like not getting allied, but alienating our ally. Like bullying, bro. Like it's not nothing about it has ever been sustainable. But now that the bullying has gone from, I may have just, pushed you into your locker to now I'm taking your lunch money and I'm, picking you up by your drawers. That's what the United States is doing now. And it's like, bro, when you keep all of that bullying shit, it's just like we were talking about a little bit earlier in this episode. What happens is they reroute trade routes. They reconfigure world relationships and partnerships for an array of how the world works. Yeah, man. The bully is only the bully for so long.
Could you imagine, the leaders of Spain being cropped out of a photo at the World Cup if it was held in Spain? Like, we would never see that. We wouldn't see that in France. We wouldn't see that in England. We wouldn't see that in Brazil. But we see that here today. And we got to see, I think it was alarming for some folks who are really, really right leaning to see how some of the citizens of the world feel about America and specifically about the current president. So you're right. So the question is, are we going to be able to right this ship? What's it going to look like? What's the next set of leadership going to do? But in the meantime, we have to fortify ourselves in these uncertain times. So what does that mean? It means having an irrevocable trust. It means having permanent life insurance with long-term care. So if things go left, you'll get taken care of the right way. It means having brokerage accounts with exposure to markets that are going to exist 10 years from now. And it also means owning our favorite asset, which is a cash flowing business, and to run it as a business. We can't control these crazy people, but we can control our power and our purpose and our connection to the community.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
All right. So, per usual.
I mean, I think they will, don't you?
Shit. So, per usual, my bad. Per usual, our audience, they could have been anywhere in the world. They're here with us. Appreciate you. Thank you. Continue to plot along in the journey. It's been my man Earl.
My guy Jesse.
It's the Asset Class. Thank you for listening.